Hey YouTube, it's Mike Jasper again with another video that I did. This one's interesting because this video literally had the toughest and most demanding client I ever had. My daughter. Doing this video for her was wonderful. It was a scholarship for her, a scholarship application. Happy to report she won the competition, got a scholarship. She was a pretty tough client. A lot of edits, a lot of change this, change that. This isn't right. Dad, what are you doing? And what made it more complicated is she was in Rome at the time, so I would give her things that I want you to film, and then I had to sync up with graphics for her architecture project and music. Needless to say, we got it done. And no, she has not paid me. It's not a joke. Enjoy.
Being the only Black woman studying architecture in my grade at my university, it can be easy for my voice as a designer to go unnoticed. It's been simultaneously challenging bringing my perspective to the table, but motivating because it's helped me realize that as an architect, I want to continue to highlight underrepresented voices. My name is Lauren, and I'm a fourth-year Bachelor of Architecture student at Cornell University. As someone that's always considered myself an artist, what first drew me to architecture was a love for design. My earliest memory of wanting to become an architect was studying the work of Zaha Hadid and thinking that I wanted to inspire others with forward-thinking designs just as she had inspired me. However, growing up in Pittsburgh showed me that architecture is not just about aesthetics. Pittsburgh is still a segregated city, and I come from a predominantly African-American neighborhood called the Hill District. The area has historically been subject to gentrification and cultural erasure in the name of urban projects meant to improve the city. However, these projects had a very different impact on my Black neighbors and community members. Most notably, in the 1950s, thousands of homes were destroyed to make room for the civic arena. It displaced countless families, and its negative economic after effects can still be seen in my community today. Seeing my neighborhood continue to change as I grew up made me realize just how powerful the consequences of not designing ethically can be, and drove my desire to become an architect that can use design to enact positive social change. Now, as a student at Cornell, my design point of view is influenced by my background and augmented by clubs like NOMAS that build my understanding of inclusive architecture. My hope is that this comes through in the work I submitted for my portfolio, The Pool. The Pool is a highly conceptual project, but one that means a lot to me because it best embodies an approach to designing ethically that I strive for in all of my work. The project is a landscape intervention and monument set on Ellis Island, a boundary that millions of immigrants once crossed to become American. In my design process, research and site analysis always include learning about the site's cultural history. What I learned is that in addition to the documented stories of Europeans immigrating in the 20th century, there were also other marginalized groups that used the island as a gateway, whose stories are much less known, such as Black people that came up from the Caribbean. I knew in my project that I wanted to find a way to conceptually incorporate these perspectives, because too often they are erased when not a part of the design process. I often look at the work of other Black creatives for inspiration, and in the case of this project, I drew influence from Torquaze Dyson, a New York City-based artist. Dyson uses what she calls hypershapes in her paintings, simple geometries curve, square, and triangle that are drawn from stories of enslaved people that used architecture as a method of liberation, such as Henry Box Brown or Harriet Jacobs. In the context of Ellis Island and articulated on my site plan, the hypershapes triangle and circle become a symbolic representation of the controlled process of moving people between the three landmasses, Ellis Island, Manhattan, and Liberty Island. Looking closer, one side of the manipulated landscape has a series of terraces. Their arrangement in a symbolic graph represents the recorded and concrete number of immigrants that crossed through the island over time. The other side of the intervention is a wading pool with a topography underneath the water surface that can be felt only when walking through it. This is meant to represent stories of immigrants that may be known through word of mouth only. The vessel between the two sides is a moving pool that rotates throughout the day propelled by currents. Its circular geometry and the arc of the path it takes are reflective of the hypershapes I studied before. The pool moves slowly enough that pedestrians can walk on and off of it as it rolls, so the path that pedestrians take to get from the terraces to the pool depends on what time of day they arrive. The project is meant to reflect the variety of potential journeys American immigrants may have taken and showcase perspectives that we might not otherwise see. This is the core of what excites me as a designer. My passion for designing socially responsible architecture is something I would absolutely bring to a professional environment like Gensler. I'm aware that my experience as a Black woman studying architecture, especially in the Ivy League, is rare. As uncomfortable as it can sometimes be, recognizing the uniqueness of my perspective has made me appreciate its value and grow my sense of self. As a professional, I would continue to be unapologetically myself while working to build diversity within the field. Scholarships like this one give me confidence that Gensler shares my values in uplifting underrepresented voices and affirm that people want us to succeed. I'm not the first to be a Black woman in architecture, and together Gensler and I could make sure I'm not the last.